Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Community Board 10 General Meeting. Today is March 24th, and we are happy to begin tonight's meeting with all of you. As we do with all of our meetings, we are going to start with our honor of the pledge. But this evening, our pledge is a surprise because we wish to invite Miss Diane Gennardis to say the pledge with us. Now, and let me take a moment to tell you just a little bit about Diane. Diane became a board member in June 2017 and quickly became an enthusiastic, engaged member of the Youth Services, Education, Libraries Committee, and the Traffic and Transportation Committee. Within 1 year, Diane was recruited to become chair of the Parks Committee, where she remains until today. She has done an outstanding job chairing many Parks Committee meetings, always willing to delve in and pinpoint the needs for specific parks and work to resolve any park issues that arose. We will be ever grateful to Diane for summarizing the Parks Capital Plan year after year, breaking down the detailed information she was provided into an easy-to-understand, compact report. We have seen Diane's personal life evolve from being overcommitted in her position as early childhood sites coordinator and director for our K and pre-K students here in District 20, where I was proud to be her colleague. She was also our CSA chapter chair. To now her retirement from that position to becoming a very busy grandmother. You were promoted to grandma. A job that definitely keeps Diane's calendar full. Through it all, Diane has always found time to continue her volunteer work with Bay Ridge Cares and other worthy organizations. It is very difficult for us to bid Diane a farewell for now, but we understand that family comes first. Please join me in wishing Diane well and letting her know that the door to Community Board 10 is always open to her. Please give her a round of applause. So, please step up for our pledge. And right.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I second it.
Thank you. And Diane, on behalf of the board, we have a plaque thanking you for your years of dedicated service. Always some lovely flowers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Come over to the microphone.
Good evening, everyone. This is really bittersweet for me because I so enjoyed being a part of this board. You are an incredible group of people who care about our community, and for that, you should be commended. I learned so much about Bay Ridge Community Board 10 while serving in this role. I came to New York when I was 10 years old, and I've lived in Bay Ridge ever since, and I've learned things that I never knew before. And in any case, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to serve on the board, and I really do look forward to maybe someday when my grandkids are a little older to be able to reapply. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And you've got the best district manager team over here, and chairman. I mean, they're wonderful. So thank you again. Thank you.
And you have a whole new group that you're working with, your grandchildren.
That's right.
So we know that they will keep you very busy.
And they will know about Bay Ridge.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now, next, we will need an adoption of our agenda. Do we have one? Okay, and seconded? Go. All in favor? Thank you. Next, we will need an adoption of the minutes. Thank you. And seconded? Yes. All in favor? Thank you. And now we will go on to our public session. Speaking this evening, we wish to welcome Maya Yedin from Senator Andrew Gennardis' office.
Hi, everybody. I will take a few extra seconds to say we love Diane very much at my office. She's come to be a very good friend of mine, and so we wish her well, not that she's going anywhere. I am going to fight with this microphone until I am done. A few things that I have brought. I have brought the Shred Fest is coming soon, 2 months from now, Saturday the 17th of May. I've also brought some stuff about the Real ID deadline that's approaching and what people might need to know in order to make sure that their IDs are up to date. And a quick one is our Earth Day 2025 contest, but everybody's a winner. So that's what I bring to you, and there's no solicitations on the back table, too. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And next up from Borough President Antonio Reynoso's office, please welcome Jessica Callow.
I'm not that skinny yet. I'm getting there, but I'm not that skinny. Hello, everybody. Okay, my name is Jessica. If you don't know me, I'm from the Borough President's office. I've missed you all very much. Diane, I'm going to miss you a lot. It has been a pleasure to be around you all these years. Thank you for allowing me to do that. I dropped some things in the back for anybody that likes to take the paper. For anybody who doesn't, it's all on our website too. We have the State of the Borough coming up. So that's on April 10th. We hope that you can join us. This year it's at Boys and Girls High School. So please join us for that. We have free tax prep going on at the Borough President's office at Borough Hall in downtown. And of course, if anybody has any problems, and we also have a constituent services section, so they love to help people. You've got a problem with a city agency or something, give us a call. They'll help solve your problems, or at least try their best. And we also have deed theft prevention workshops going on. So we have papers on that in the back. Please feel free to take them. We had an unprecedented number of applicants this year. So thank you, everybody, to those at home, those here that have applied to be on the board. We're very excited about that. And we want to wish everyone a happy Ramadan, a happy Purim, and a happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you. All right.
We'll just push it out.
Please.
We'll just push it out.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much. And next from Councilmember Justin Brannan's office, please welcome Zunaira Ahmed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zunaira Ahmed. I'm Deputy Chief of Staff for Councilman Justin Brannan, here to provide some fun, juicy updates. It's budget season. So Councilman Brannan, as chair of the Finance Committee of New York City Council, has been attending hearings. He's advocating for our city, for a more affordable, safer, healthier city overall. But he's been deep in these budget negotiations. For this district, he has brought over $200 million in discretionary funding since he first started in 2018. And he's especially working hard this year, as his last year, to make it the biggest the district has ever seen. So please, make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter, following us on social media to get all those good, juicy updates. We want to thank the Bay Ridge St. Patrick's Parade Committee for another great parade. It was amazing to see everyone who was out there. Did I Did I see anyone? Yeah, I saw you. Yeah. It was great to see everyone connect. Councilman Brennan had a great time marching, so we want to thank our partners in NYPD and everyone, all the community partners that made it a huge success this year. It is the final weeks of Ramadan. Eid will be this weekend, maybe Monday, maybe Sunday, but we want to give a shout out to the NYPD for keeping our houses of worship safe, making sure people can practice in these final days. I do have these green cards in the back. They have ways to contact our office. Our office is located at 8203 3rd Avenue. You can always stop by, give us a call or email. We're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, from Councilmember Alexa Avalos' office, please welcome Rob Aguilar.
Good evening, everyone. I want to wish Diane a fun time with your grandchildren. May you enjoy many, many years of that. So really quickly, I'm also going to fight with this microphone until I get it right. Okay. So March marks the continuation of the city's budget process. This year, the city's budget is over $100 billion. And as you know, the budget is a reflection of what our city holds as important, as its priorities, as values, if you will. And the budget reflects what the mayor and the council find are the best investments for the year ahead. So the council, under the leadership of Speaker Adrian Adams, rolled out a number of priorities, and the council member is particularly excited about a few things that are proposed in this budget. There's talks about expanding library service back to 7 days a week. So that's something very important that we would like to see again. Expanding childcare for working class families, that's also very important. And of course, increasing the access to CUNY, City University of New York. So the council has had several budget hearings already to examine Mayor Adams' preliminary budget process that includes, as we can all guess, proposed cuts to different agencies. Now this, of course, is more of the mayor's playbook that we all know. More cuts to important agencies and services that the city needs. So we feel that it's time for the public, you all, to voice your concerns and weigh in during this time that these cuts are being considered and examined and looked at. So the council member's advocacy is only as strong as the backing that she has from the community. So there are hearings that we think you all should either attend virtually or in person if you can. Tomorrow we have the housing and buildings at 10 a.m. and at 9:30, sanitation and waste management. So if you can go to the City Council website, if you can give your testimony, if there's anything that you want to weigh in, now is the time to do it so that we are all aware. Was that my buzzer?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, from New York State Senator Stephen Chan's office, please welcome Zihu Ni. Hi. Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Shufei Ni, and I also a CB10 member. So I'm here. I'm working for our senator office. Right now I'm just show up something. We have some events. Our office in 6605 400 Avenue. So if anything you need help, so just come to our house, our office. Thank you.
When you work hard, your office does seem like your house. I get it. We'd like to also recognize the following people here in our audience this evening. From Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis' office, Lori Windsor is with us. From Assemblymember Michael Tanusis' office, Basil Kapitanakis is with us. From Councilman David Carr's office, we have David Ryan here with us. Thank you. From our 6-8 precinct, Captain John DeSaro is here with us this evening, as is Police Officer Peter Conti. Welcome. And from the Fort Hamilton Garrison, please welcome Colonel Misty Cantwell is with us this evening. Thank you. And we also have a resident who wishes to speak. Please welcome Therese DeWheel.
Good evening. I don't know if this has already been voted. The Citibank bikes, are they coming? The Citibank bikes, I heard there's going to be more in Brooklyn. I guess it's already voted on, but what I wanted to say was, no, it's not.
Well, we're going to have a meeting on it probably sometime before June, we expect.
Okay, well, here's the point. If you look at 3rd Avenue, it has never been dirtier. If you put a Citibank bike there, it will never, ever be cleaned by sanitation again. Because when the street cleaners come, those bikes stay there. And you're looking at 4 months out of the year that those bikes are not used. Parking spots, garbage. The rat situation is intolerable. Okay, so the other thing is, if you want to be fair to all the people, not everybody can ride a bike. You'd have to put the 3-seater bikes. Did you think of that, handicapped? Maybe you should put some handicapped bikes there if you're going to do it for everyone. I just think it's a really, it's a way of torturing the people that live in Bay Ridge. We can't park already, and you know it. And now you have cameras for double parking. Sock it to us again. You got to be a little kinder to the residents who have nowhere to put their cars anymore. Also, the house conversions on my block, it's already happening. Of course, the street for me was a beautifully beautiful one-family house. They're going to demo it. We hear they're going to put 2 one-family houses in that spot. And up the middle, maybe a driveway. There's nothing you can do. When you see New York City permit in the front, it's a done deal. I just feel very sorry for Bay Ridge. I feel it's being demolished every day. Someone comes up with a brainy idea for one segment of the population, and they really don't think about all of us. Please rethink it again. I don't think we need any more Citibank bikes anywhere. I think it's enough.
I just would like to clarify one thing. The Department of Traffic is doing the city bike expansion. And so what's been in our newsletter that goes out is that now is the time for feedback. So your feedback that you've given, I really encourage you to go onto that portal. It's linked. They're accepting responses from January to mid-April. If you feel strongly one way or another, this is the time, but it is organized by the Department of Traffic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. And if you have not signed up for our Community Board 10 newsletter, I encourage you to do so. You will get all the links to all the information that is shared at our meetings on that newsletter. And we will now go on to our public hearings. We will begin with Chris Ellison sharing some committee reports and recommendations. Thank you. Please welcome Chris from Police and Public Safety.
Good evening. The Police and Public Safety Committee meeting was held on March 12th. The meeting was a hybrid meeting in person at Community Board 10 office and on Zoom. We met in quorum, but not in in-person quorum. The agenda was as follows. Review of State Liquor Authority wine, beer, and cider application for New Phoenix Restaurant at 912 65th Street. Review of SLA Liquor, Wine, Beer, Cider application for Foul Play Sports Bar, LLC, 7217 8th Avenue. Review of SLA Wine, Beer, Cider application for Bensonhurst Incorporated, doing business as Cafe on the Pier, 35 Bay Ridge Avenue. First item, new SLA Liquor, Wine, Beer, Cider application for New Phoenix Restaurant Incorporated, 912 65th Street. The applicant, Zhen Chu Chen, was represented by attorney Sherry Xu, who is present on Zoom. The premise is currently a restaurant with 59 tables and 606 seats and no bar. The premise does have a place of assembly certificate of operation for 705 people. The hours of operation will be Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. The premise will have only background music and may host some private parties such as weddings and birthday parties. The floor plan shows one main entrance and 2 additional exits on each side of the establishment. There is no adverse history at this location. Applicants did provide a floor plan, menu, photos, and a place of assembly. After a discussion period, the committee's recommendation is to deny the applicant unless the applicant agrees to the following stipulation. The premise will be operated as a restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until the appropriate license issued by the State Liquor Authority. Applicants will not serve or allow BYOB until their license is obtained. The owner or manager will be on site during all hours of operation. The hours of operation will be Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no outdoor music. The doors and windows remain closed with any amplified music. Background recorded and/or music sound levels will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. Once the State Liquor Authority license is obtained, the Committee Board may call upon the applicant to address any concerns that may arise. There will be at least 20% visibility view into the establishment at eye level. The applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, will give notice and meet with the Community Board Committee at least 45 days in advance of any such change. The applicant agreed and the motion passed unanimously. So since we did not have an in-person quorum, I need a second from the floor. Diane? So, any questions? Any questions from board members? Any questions from the public? They do have a parking lot, right? There was 1311 complaint for double parking years ago, over 2 years ago. Nothing ever since then. Okay. They don't? I thought they had one down on Fort Hamilton Parkway. Okay. All right. I was mistaken. No, they didn't. No. I thought they did, right? Because in the past, they did have a sign. They did have parking down close to Fort Hampton Parkway where they would park there. My mistake. Okay. All those in favor? Yes, Don.
Yeah, just one question. 1 second. The line about the 20% visibility. I don't really think that there really are windows. I'm sorry. The line about the 20% visibility. There really are not windows. There are some glass structures, right, but there's not really a window. That has, I think, blinds, or I think it's closed. I would leave it there.
I am.
I would leave it in, but just for your sake, it's just a flat building.
Well, I know we had a lot of concern about the exits on our schematics. All right. Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? One opposed. Motion passes. Next item. New State Liquor Authority liquor, wine, beer, cider application for Foul Play Sports Bar Incorporated, located at 7217 8th Avenue. The applicant, Ken Catali, and his attorney, Frank Polilio, were both present on Zoom. The establishment has 29 seats with 10 tables and one bar with 21 seats. The applicant provided a menu and a floor plan. The applicant wanted the hours of operation to be Monday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. The applicant was questioned on their hours of operation and a DJ booth on the floor plan. The DJ booth was already in the establishment. Questions arose: what sports are played after 12 a.m.? The applicant stated that they go on after 12 a.m. so that people can mingle. Questions also arose about the owner's previous establishment at 3901 2nd Avenue, Peyton's Playpen, which was a gentleman's club. The applicant managed it from January 2018 to April 2023. We had contacted Community Board 7, to see if the establishment had any adverse history. It did when the previous owners had it, when it was Wild Wild West, but when Mr. Castellane, father, took over approximately 15 years ago, there were no incidents. It was asked if this establishment will be a gentleman's club. The applicant answered no, and their lease does not allow it. The committee showed concern about closing at 4 a.m. It was agreed that the premises will operate as a restaurant sports bar, with the hours of operation will be Sunday to Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. After a discussion period, the committee's recommendation motion is to deny the applicant unless the applicant agrees to the following stipulation. The premise will be operated as a restaurant sports bar. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until the appropriate license is issued by the State Liquor Authority. Applicants will not serve or allow bring your own booze until their license is obtained. The owner or manager will be on-site during all hours of operation. The hours of operation will be Sunday to Wednesday, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m., Thursday through Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no outdoor music. The doors and windows should remain closed with any amplified music. Once the State Liquor Authority license is obtained, the community board may call upon the applicant to address any concerns that may arise. I think I read this. Background recorded indoor music sound levels will remain below the level permitted by New York City Noise Code. There will be at least 20% visibility view into the establishment at eye level. The applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, will give notice and meet with the community board committee at least 45 days in advance of any such change. The establishment will not be a gentleman's club. Security guards will be used during events and when the establishment stays open until 4 a.m. The applicant agreed, and the motion passed unanimously. Need a second?
Who's the second? Who's
Second.
the second?
Let's see, who's Henry second? Jonathan?
Jonathan.
Okay. So, any questions?
Just looking at the property, it looks like a mixed-use property.
Correct. There is an apartment above.
So are there residents there?
There is a resident who was the previous bar owner.
How are they going to
One
make
resident.
sure?
They said they had spoken to the resident already, and
And we did do public notice.
nobody from the public came.
Is it soundproof?
Is it soundproofed?
Who's the owner of the building?
Oh. What if they decide to move out and somebody else moves in? Like, I don't know. I just feel like 4 o'clock in the morning and there's people who live upstairs.
They wanted it to be 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week.
No.
That's why.
And then, where is the entrance of the residents upstairs?
It's a detached frame building, if I recall.
I just
There
don't
is a
feel
driveway
comfortable.
next door, and there is another residence next door. And it's right next to the highway.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Do you want to see the front? Anybody want to see it?
Yeah, I'm looking. It's over by where you
Yes.
Yeah, it's near where New Cornish used to be.
Right. Yeah, across by the park.
Any other questions? Any questions from public? All those in favor? The count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. All those against? 1, 2, 3,
4, 5,
4,
5.
5. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item. New SLA wine beer cider application for a cafe on the pier at 35 Bay Ridge Avenue. The applicant, Mr. Anthony Azzarelli and Annie Young, were present on Zoom. The hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., and on Sunday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The applicant had previously applied in June 2022 and was denied by the board because they had been operating without a license and there had been numerous 311 complaints. Most of the complaints were about noise and disorderly conduct. The applicant states that those individuals who operated the establishment are no longer involved. The establishment will have background music, no DJ, and may have some private parties such as kit parties. The establishment will have 16 tables with 50 seats and 1 bar with 7 seats. Mr. Azzarelli has previous experience with Cafe Romeo, 7111 20th Avenue, and another establishment, Cafe Gondola in Massapequa, Long Island. There is no adverse history for this location for the past 2 years, as per 311 in the 6A precinct. The applicant provided a menu, photos, and a floor plan. After a discussion period, the motion was made to deny the applicant unless the applicant agrees to the following stipulation. The premise will operate as a cafe restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premise until the appropriate license is issued by the State Liquor Authority. Applicants will not serve or allow bring your own booze until their license is obtained. The owner or manager will be on site during all hours of operation. The hours of operation will be Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., and on Sunday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no outdoor music. The doors and windows should remain closed with any amplified music. Background recorded and/or music sound levels will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. Once the State Liquor Authority license is obtained, the Community Board may call upon the applicant to address any concerns that may arise. There will be at least 20% visibility view into the establishment at eye level. The applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the Community Board Committee at least 45 days in advance of any such change. The applicant agreed, and the motion passed unanimously. Need a second? Okay. Any questions? Hold on. Board members first. Any questions for board members?
No, that's a board member.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see back there. You're supposed to sit up here.
I know.
About liquor, so there's no liquor being served.
Correct. It's just wine, beer, and cider.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And now we will continue. We have another public session item to discuss regarding an open dining application. Our Traffic and Transportation Committee Chair, Jack Zhang, could not be here this evening. Please welcome Stephanie Simone Mahaney to share their committee report and recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. All right. The Traffic and Transportation Committee met in virtual quorum on Thursday, March 20th, to discuss application 202-40727030002 from Muscles and More, located at 510 80th Street, for a sidewalk cafe with 10 tables and 20 seats, and a roadway cafe with 5 tables and 20 seats. The owner was present. The district office noted that there have been only one 311 noise complaint in the last 5 years. Both roadway and sidewalk cafes existed prior to and throughout the pandemic era temporary program. The committee was concerned about space for pedestrian walkways, and it was confirmed that there was 8 feet between the sidewalk and roadway cafe perimeters. Some committee members mentioned that there have been outside amplified live music, and the restaurant owner confirms that there is a live band performing on a regular monthly basis. The district office noted that this does require an amplified sound permit, but the owner did not confirm that they had a sound permit. Per our standard stipulations, which the owner has agreed to, the New York City Noise Code, as well as DOT cafe regulations, no music, instruments, or amplified sounds are permitted unless authorized by a street activity permit. The committee chair, Jack, recommends that the restaurant owner assess that they have the right permits in order. Lastly, there was a concern raised on the location of the roadway cafe and the hydrant, as cars or delivery vehicles may choose to use the open slot. In this case, the hydrant exists in a neck down, and the spacing for the roadway cafe is per the rules and regulations. Okay, so the first motion, the sidewalk cafe motion, passed in the virtual quorum and will require a second from the floor. But the roadway cafe motion, and I'll get back to this, that failed due to a 5-5 tie, and thus, following Robert's Rules of Order, the motion will be reintroduced in front of the full board. So I'm going to go with the first motion, which pertains to the sidewalk cafe. The motion is to deny application for a sidewalk cafe unless the applicant agrees to the following stipulations. I'm going to read the stipulations. These will also apply to the second motion, but I won't read them again. So this is for both. 1, the restaurant shall meet with the community board in case of future issues raised by the community. 2, the outdoor cafe area shall close by 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and midnight Friday and Saturday, irrespective of restaurant hours. 3, the restaurant shall only use ambient lighting and shall observe DOT outdoor dining regulations regarding electric lighting and electric connections. 4, the restaurant shall enforce no smoking regulations in all outdoor areas and shall observe New York City Fire Department codes, including no barbecue, no open flames, and no fire pits. Smoking, including but not limited to cigars, pipes, cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, marijuana, and smokeless tobacco, shall not be permitted in any outdoor cafe area. Signs necessary to comply with this requirement must be prominently and conspicuously posted in those areas, and ashtrays shall be prohibited. 5, outdoor cafe areas must have seated food service and not be used for storage. 6, outdoor areas shall be kept clean overnight and furniture must be secured at night. 7, pest and rodent control shall be applied in all outdoor cafe areas. 8, the restaurant shall observe New York City noise code regulations and enforce these regulations among patrons. 9, the restaurant shall not reserve or block street parking spaces for valet parking or other uses through any means, including but not limited to cones, signs, curb markings, as detailed in Traffic Rules of City of New York 4-08. Unofficial reserving of parking space. It shall be unlawful for any person to reserve or attempt to reserve a parking space or prevent any vehicle from parking on a public street through his or her presence in the roadway, the use of hand signals, or by placing any box, can, crate, hand cart, dolly, or any other device, including unauthorized pavement, curb, or street markings or signs in the roadway. And finally, 10, restaurants shall not permit staff, valet services, or delivery vendors to block crosswalks, adjacent bus stops, or other restricted parking areas. Okay, those are all the stipulations. There was only a virtual quorum, so I would need a second from the floor. Are there any questions?
1 second.
Thank you. It's not so much a question, it was a concern that happened, and the people that were in the room kind of experienced it differently from people that were on Zoom. It was when Steve had mentioned that you went there, he had heard music. I heard music that same day, and it was bad, I'm going to admit. I like music, but it wasn't very good. So I actually walked over to find out where the music was coming from. When I saw his Muscles and More, my first thought was he had to get a sound permit for this. I just assumed he did. And then when it was brought up at the meeting, it was like a little rough for a few seconds, because it's like, no, I do this 3 times. I don't have a sound permit. And I was like, I said, I told him the sound permit is for your benefit. If people start calling in, then you will have these adverse calls and different things. And it was like, no, I'm bringing all this to the neighborhood already, back and forth. I was just surprised by that. I've never dealt with him. I like the restaurant, but that kind of just bothered me. And I want to say, put that he has to get a sound permit for if he plans on doing the music again, which he said he would be doing. So I would say add another stipulation to that.
Okay, does that have to be an amendment, or do we vote on a friendly amendment? Do we have to vote on approve it, or we just add it into the, okay, all right, so. Yeah. Staley? Yeah.
I was just going to second exactly what you were saying. Okay. I was in the same meeting, and I would also characterize his response as sort of blatantly defiant of what our board is looking to do. He flatly said essentially he does not intend to get a sound permit for these, and that, basically he said, well, if people complain, I'll do something about it, but I'm not gonna proactively get a sound permit, in direct violation of the stipulations that we were proposing. I think that we should deny his application outright, and ask him to resubmit it with the permits in place. It sounded like what he was describing was a scheduled series of events over the summer. I don't see any reason why you couldn't provide some proof to the board that he's already secured the permits before he approve his sidewalk cafe application.
Steve's hand went up first, and then, sorry, thanks, Dorothy.
What he said.
It was Joe in the back. Joe, you still have?
One second. I just wanted to point out the application was for a sidewalk cafe and roadway cafe.
Yes.
It wasn't about an outdoor sound permit, which happened to come up, in passing. So I'm not sure if we could just deny, a sidewalk cafe and roadway cafe. I don't know if it has anything to do with the, requiring of a noise permit for outdoor. I think that's a separate issue.
But you have to have it.
Yeah, we could, but we could put it in, approve it, and maybe add the stipulation of if he does have outdoor music, he has to get a permit. Just food for thought.
That would have been under the friendly amendment as an additional stipulation that he must obtain a sound permit. Right, the rules say you cannot have amplified sound. So this is an application to deny unless all stipulations are met. And we would add an additional stipulation. He must meet the stipulation of obtaining a sound permit. There were other hands?
Any other board members? Board members?
Yeah, Josephine, just correct me if I'm wrong. If we deny the application, they probably will get the liquor license anyway. And then therefore...
We're doing sidewalk cafe.
The sidewalk cafe. So if we deny it, does that kill it? Or does that just give us no stipulations to then have leverage against them later?
If we were to deny it outright and there are no stipulations and it's approved ultimately by DOT, it would be approved without stipulations. I just wanted to reiterate that the rules do say you cannot have amplified sound in either a sidewalk cafe or a roadway cafe unless there's a sound permit that's issued. Yeah, because then we could.
And it looks like we actually took our time.
Right. If he's operating sound without, we can ask the Department of Transportation to come out and also violation could be issued with or without, because right now the rules say you cannot have it. So say there were no stipulations. We'll use that example. Say there were no stipulations, and the restaurant is playing amplified music without a corresponding SAPO permit, with an NYPD sound permit for amplified sound. The Department of Transportation has a unit that will be enforcing their rules. And so it is already included within their rules that there can be no amplified sound.
Any other board members? Oh, Carmen.
Right now, he said he's going to have music 3 times. I said, right now, he said there's going to be music.
It doesn't sound.
It's for the live stream. That's why I need it.
Right now, he said that he's scheduling music 3 times over the summer. If we don't do something now, what if he changes his mind and wants to do it every week or every other week or, more than 3 times? So I think whatever we do, we need to do it now.
Okay. Yeah. There's one over there, and then Ruth. And
I believe those concerts or whatever you're talking about, music entertainment, he only does those during the summer strolls. Those are that's what I'm aware of. I've been up and down Muscles and More forever. What I can't believe is that the committee members are actually complaining about the noise. It's either a cafe, roadway cafe, or not. I don't think the sound has anything to do with the permits, but that's me. It's a separate issue.
I mean, there was a 311 complaint for noise, separate and apart from the committee. So
Not during the strolls.
No. And I think the music that he was talking about was not during the strolls. Is that correct? I couldn't. Right. Okay.
I was
where'd that
just
question?
gonna,
Oh,
not
Elizabeth.
on the sound front, but it's a nice looking sidewalk cafe in the neighborhood, and I just want to point that out. I don't have a position either way on it, but it is really nice looking when you go down Fifth and you're like, oh, look, it looks like France. So,
Ruth, did you have a question?
Ruth had her hand up.
Ruth.
It's a corner place, and I was just wondering,
Where is the cafe planned for, the Fifth Avenue side or the street?
On the street?
On the side street?
Street. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's a limit, with like 40 feet or something like that. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I just want to point, I'm sorry. So if we put a stipulation in here saying that he has to have the sound permit in order to operate the sidewalk and cafe, then if he doesn't get the sound permit, he's also in violation of the stipulation, correct? Meaning
Yes.
that he would not be permitted to have the sidewalk cafe because he's in violation of the stipulation, correct? I just want to make sure we all understand that, and that's fine with me, but I just want to make sure.
that's how it reads,
Right.
right? Okay. Thank you. All right, I will call the question if there's no more pressing. Yeah? Okay, and there's a member of the public who would, just if you wait for the microphone, please. Oh, thank you.
I apologize if this is the wrong place to ask the question, but how close is the sidewalk cafe to the fire hydrant? Because this is the site of the last fire.
It is, wasn't it even more? Wasn't it?
Wasn't
15
it?
It
was right above it.
It's 15 feet.
And they couldn't get the hoses because there was a car parked there.
Okay. It meets the criteria for New York City's fire code for the distance, and yes, that came up during the meeting.
Yeah.
And the hydrant's on the bump out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's how many feet? Well, with the hydrant, where's this? Yeah, it's 15 feet. So 14. It's 15 feet from the hydrant is 15 feet from the edge of the sidewalk cafe. And the hydrant itself is on a bump out. If you know the sidewalk comes out. Okay. So it does meet the criteria. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call the question. So remember, the application will be denied. Carmen. Oh. This will. Yeah. I'm. Are we all good? I'll tell you. The motion is to deny the application unless all 11 stipulations are met. Those 11 are the 10 that I read, and then the one that was added through the friendly amendment, that a sound permit must be obtained. Okay? All right. All in favor?
Did you get a second?
Oh. Oh, because I need a second on that one. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dan. Okay. All in favor? All right, all opposed? Abstentions or recusals? Okay. The motion passes. Oh, okay.
I feel like I speak to Department of Transportation daily. And I did ask this question before the meeting. Again, we were just reviewing because we had some notices today in the office. The Department of Transportation will be going out to everyone who received approvals for their outdoor dining. Sidewalk cafes and roadway cafes. So they're going to do an initial run through of everyone, make sure that, they ask any questions, look at the setup, look at what was submitted, point out if there were any deficiencies. They will alert the business owner if there are any deficiencies, and that will be happening in the next few weeks. April 1st starts roadway, but right now if you had a sidewalk cafe and you haven't gone through the process yet, you will continue to be able to have it year-round until your process is completed. So DOT will be going out as kind of like a informational review with the owners on the ground, on the street, with their inspectors. After a period of time, I don't know exactly when that is, if there are complaints, 311 complaints, community board, elected officials saying, we've received complaints about them not abiding by the rules or the schematics, or there are any issues, we can ask for enforcement. Anyone can ask for enforcement, and DOT would go back to inspect to make sure that they are compliant.
Oh, I have one.
Oh,
Okay, Steve?
I just want to make sure that what we're saying here is that they will also enforce the stipulations, not just the laws that are out there, but these stipulations become part of it, correct? Yeah. Okay, so there is an enforcement mechanism.
Right, there
Okay, moving on to motion 2. Again, to explain, the original motion was similar. This is for the roadway cafe, and the original motion was to deny the application unless all the stipulations are met. Now, those are the 10 I read, and there's actually no motion now on the floor because there was a 5-5 vote. So according to procedural rules, a new motion has to be made, or it could be the old motion, but the motion has to come from the floor. Again, this is for the roadway cafe. Okay? When a committee meets, they have a motion, and then the motion is seconded, and it's brought to the general board. But where this motion failed, the motion I wanted to deny the application with the stipulations, in other words, to approve the roadway cafe, that failed in committee. So we're starting from the beginning, so to speak. We need a motion to proceed. Dan, I saw Elizabeth, but you'll have to articulate the motion.
Yes, I would like.
Come on, Danny, you can do it. Yep, I have to wait. That's why I'm in the front, right? I would like to reintroduce the motion that was previously introduced to Traffic and Transportation for an open dining application for Muscles and More LTD for a roadway cafe with 5 tables and 20 seats.
Okay, and so that motion, just to be clear, was to deny the application unless the applicant agrees to the stipulations, which I will not read again, but those are the 10 and 1, so 11. And that 11th one, of course, is the sound permit must be obtained.
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Write that down.
Okay, so now it's open for discussion. Is there any discussion about this? Okay, Elizabeth?
So I was going to introduce the opposite motion. I think that area is very congested. There's a lot of double parking over there. I don't think it's a great place for a roadway cafe. I don't think we should have one there. I drive on that intersection all the time. It is extremely dangerous. The bump outs make it a little bit more safe. But there's a driving school there where there's constant double parking. And then in the mornings, there's always double parking with trucks unloading things. It's just not a good place to decrease visibility in the way that we would with a roadway cafe. And I feel strongly about that. There's a lot of schools on that block and around there, and a lot of kids crossing the street there.
Okay, thank you.
Procedurally, how do I, since I already the motion's on the floor, seconded.
Okay. So this would just be, okay. All right. I just didn't swivel fast enough.
Any other comments?
Okay, any other discussion? Staley. Sorry, just keep going.
Hey, sorry to jump in again. So I'm also in favor of denying this, or at least asking him to modify his design plans, which, again, much like with the sound permit, when that was brought up, he refused to consider doing that. This is the problem that Stephanie alluded to at the beginning, actually is with the fire hydrant. So I want to explain that just a little bit because it comes up in a number of these applications. And what happens, basically, if you can kind of visualize it, is that the roadway cafe, if the roadway cafe is toward the corner of the block and there's a fire hydrant on the corner of the block, you end up in a situation where between the edge of the roadway cafe and the block and the end of the block, the only available open space for a car is next to the fire hydrant. Like the roadway cafe basically pens the fire hydrant in. They have 15 feet of clearance, but that's the only open space because of the roadway cafe. And what we've seen in several situations is that space becomes the space for the delivery driver to park, the space for the person who wants to park their car but can't find parking anywhere else when they eat in the restaurant parks. And it becomes a problem. Even though they have the technical required clearances of the fire hydrant, when that fire hydrant is the last thing on the block, it creates a real problem. And we actually asked him if he would consider shortening his roadway cafe to allow a little additional space around the fire hydrant for that inevitable delivery driver, et cetera, that's going to be parking there. So I think it creates a very dangerous situation that's very particular to the applicant, right? Which is why it's not really addressed by the DOT, but this is exactly the reason that we as a board should be looking closely at these, because it is very particular to the location.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Discussion? Not for board first, and then I'll get to the public. Ruth, you want to hear to?
It's very unusual for a committee to do 5 and 5. So, did you mention the concerns that they had to us?
I did not, because
Can
Jack
you?
did not.
Can you?
Would another TNT member like to expound on that? I was one of the ones who opposed. I am always, in these situations, particularly with roadway cafes, concerned. I think it's public space in the street, and I just, in general, do not advocate for roadway cafes. Period. But there were other committee members, obviously, for others. I invite them to speak, or if they would like to. If not, I know there were safety concerns. I think perhaps maybe the owner, the concerns about his reaction to the sound permit may have played into that. So I don't want to speak for the committee members, but this is I did not chair the meeting. Anyone? Carmen? Oh, sorry. I saw her hand.
Everything that was said now, they voiced it there. And I will say the committee members have a lot of patience, and we deal with this all the time, and they were very gracious. He just seemed to have an attitude which surprised me, because he's coming to us, he needs us to approve something, and his attitude just floored me across the board for everything. And then, like, the sound permit, it sounds petty, but it isn't when, you may have a mother with little kids and he's doing this out of order and everybody else is getting sound permits and he thinks he's above it. Everything with the cars, we deal with this every single time. Every issue, this comes up a lot. And it was brought to him. He could say, well, yeah, I could modify, I could do this. The answer was no for everything. And that's what just threw us off, and that's what's making this one session go a lot longer than it should be.
Steve?
Next time I'll send it to the end. No, I just want to echo that, is that I think that when we're having these hearings and somebody comes in and has an attitude and says specifically something that I personally observed and said, I never did this, we don't have it, we only have it on these days. I saw it with myself. My wife saw it, okay? He was absolutely had a ban there, okay? And I think the very fact that you deny something, okay, that has been observed, of course, my credibility is that, it's up to you to make that determination as to who's credible here. But I do think that it doesn't speak well for what we can expect there in the future.
Okay. Have we heard from all board members who wanted to say something? And were there questions from the public? There was one in the back, right? Please. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing, just as an observer, that I'm wondering is that aside from, there's been some factors here. One is the attitude of the applicant. The other was the sound permit issue. But independent of all that, I'm wondering, if you have someone who's applying for something that is, kind of settled law, should something like this be considered to be denied for reasons such as if someone's double parking, the driver is breaking the law, the property owner is not. The property owner has done his work. He's applied with the board. A delivery driver who blocks a fire hydrant, for example, that's another example of somebody breaking law. Why should the business owner, this is a question for everybody, should the business owner suffer because members of the community break the law when they're following the law? You know, double parking is illegal. Delivery, you know, blocking a hydrant with a delivery truck is illegal. Is that the business owner's problem, or is that something to be a bigger question for DOT, et cetera?
Thank you. I think we have a response from Steve. Wait for the microphone.
I understand your concern, but what I will tell you is that in law, but in law, okay, there is something called foreseeability. If it's foreseeable by the owner that these things can happen, and I believe it is, then he's responsible too.
Okay. Joe in the back. He needs to be up here.
I understand what you just said, but how can anyone prevent someone from double parking? I mean, if I'm guilty of it, if you see a fire hydrant, sometimes you got to jump out for 2 seconds. You just pull into a spot. Is that the pizzeria guy's fault that I jumped out to grab a slice from his establishment? I'm just saying, I don't think that rule could apply to everything, and not in the situation for someone double parking at a fire hydrant.
I think there's another question from the public, which is, I'm sorry, you know you're going to have to go the other way.
No, I can't.
Oh, sorry. For the live stream, we need the microphone.
They can't hear you.
I'm just listening to everything, trying to incubate it. You know the rules. I don't. I just think it sounds harsh to me because it's like you started with one area and now it's about sound outside. Now it's just what you're saying, double park cars. And did you mention something about driving school on the block? Well, we have too many in Bay Ridge. Who let all that business come in without blinking an eye? I mean, so one business over another business. If the man was rude to you, he probably was. People aren't making it now. People are afraid. COVID did us in, and now this. So I don't excuse his bad attitude to you, but you have to understand sometimes where it's coming from. That's their livelihood. And I guess he figured, I'm only going to have 3 parties, and that's that. And you know better. Probably people say it, and then they have more. Then you can go after him. Then I don't know. I think Muscles is a very good restaurant. I never heard of bar fights. I never heard of a bunch of other stuff like that. And could you find him to give him a little leeway, or just say, listen, just your last chance. You go with the stipulation, or this is going to happen. I don't know.
Thank you. All right, I think we need to call the question. Okay. All right. So the motion is on the floor. It was seconded, right? It was seconded. Okay. And this is for the Roadway Cafe. The motion is to deny the application unless the applicant agrees to the 10+1 stipulations. Okay? Right? That's 11. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Carmela. I just wanted to emphasize that additional one that we added for the Sidewalk Cafe applies to the Roadway Cafe as well. So all in favor? Okay. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for your thoughtful discussions on our public hearing questions. And now I'll continue with the chair report. Like the kids, I have the report on my phone. Like the grown-ups, I have my glasses in my hand. So, good evening and happy March. We hope that many of you got to enjoy the 30th annual Bay Ridge St. Patrick's Day Parade on 3rd Avenue yesterday. Tonight's Traffic and Transportation Committee report will include information and votes regarding upcoming summer strolls and weekend walks that make our neighborhood special. We are fortunate to have events like these that bring our community together, support our merchants, and invite others into this beautiful neighborhood. As each event comes up, I invite you to mark your calendars and plan to attend. Besides helping us to welcome spring, March is also Women's History Month. This month serves as a time to honor the achievements and contributions that women of all backgrounds have made throughout the history of the United States, both by remembering those who paved the way in the struggle for gender equity in the United States and by recognizing the history makers and barrier breakers of today. The National Women's History Month theme for 2025 is Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations, celebrating the contributions of women in education, mentorship, and leadership. Here in our community, many of you may remember that one of our local schools, PS 413, is named for our late community leader, Joanne Seminara. Ms. Seminara began her career as a math teacher at McKinley Junior High School and then went on to teach biology and chemistry at Notre Dame Academy in Staten Island. Later, she transitioned to a legal career, and she practiced law in New York and New Jersey for more than 30 years. For over 26 years, Ms. Seminara contributed to her community as a member of Community Board 10 and served as its chairperson from 2010 to 2013. When Ms. Seminara stepped down from the board in 2019, she spoke so eloquently and inspired all of us present that, quote, "The city very much needs us at a time like this because we demonstrate the values and the desires that we all have in common. In our community involvement, in the professional work that we do, in your very presence here, you bring your stories and your traditions to the tapestry of this city and country. It is our privilege to look up and see her name on this new school in our neighborhood, and remember Joanne's gift of service and for helping to weave the beautiful tapestry which is Community Board 10. Here in our neighborhood, we are fortunate to have several women elected to leadership, including our local Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis and City Council members Alexa Aviles and Susan Zhuang. These are just a few of the women leaders in our community among the many. Whether at home or in our community, there are examples of women leading and making the future better for others. I encourage you to think about the women in your life who have shattered the glass ceiling and inspired others. That may have been in a classroom, in a community space like this, or even around the kitchen table at home. We celebrate Women's History Month because our history is our strength. Thank you. And now we will continue with our district manager's report. Please welcome Josephine Beckman.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, board members. I just want to begin with a special thank you to the Bay Ridge Center, as Executive Director Todd Fliedner and Ahmed Al-Faraji for hosting Community Board 10 tonight. They're very gracious and cordial to us always, and we really appreciate that. Earlier today, board member Ruth Greenfield Mazer and I attended the Bay Ridge Center's first Social Work Community Partnership Fair to connect with social service providers that serve local older adults. We had a wonderful morning meeting. We met with some local older adults sharing information about Community Board 10, signed a whole bunch up to our newsletter, and we had the great opportunity of meeting local service providers in our community. Thank you, Ruth, for attending this morning. The New York State Department of Transportation contacted the district office to advise us and asked us to share with the public that there will be overnight work operations with noise on the eastbound and westbound Gowanus Expressway between 92nd Street and 6th Avenue in Brooklyn, starting today through Monday, April 28th. inclement weather may delay the schedule, and this is for milling and paving operations for New York State DOT's preservation project at various locations in New York City. I also attended a briefing last week with National Grid regarding upcoming work that will also begin this week concerning a robotic inline inspection for underground gas transmission mains from Bay Ridge to Greenwood Heights, as well as from Bay Ridge to Marine Park. The project goal is to inspect multiple aging pipelines originally installed in the 1950s to ensure system safety and reliability. So you will see on the street level a large yellow pipe and a crane and a bunch of crews working out of the in the area at two locations. Most of the inspections will be underground. The two locations in CB10 are 86th Street at 3rd Avenue and 86th Street at 11th Avenue. And traffic control will also be part of this project to make sure that traffic can run smoothly and safely. A few reminders from agencies. The Department of Sanitation also sent a reminder that all curbside composting is mandatory and enforcement will begin on April 1st. Tomorrow, March 25th at 7 p.m., the 68 Precinct Sector C NCO team, which includes the area of Shore Road to 7th Avenue and Bay Ridge Parkway to 86th Street, will be meeting at the Knights of Columbus at 8122 5th Avenue. On Wednesday, March 26th, the Mayor's Office of Film shared that they will be filming in CB10 the movie The Only Living Pickpocket in New York. Is scheduled to film scenes at 2894th Street between Marine Avenue and Shore Road, as well as Marine Avenue between 92nd and 94th Streets, and there will be some parking restrictions nearby, and signs should be going up today. Looking ahead, in May, the 5-borough bike tour will take place this year on Sunday, May 4th, and while not directly in CB10 impacts us and nearby communities, so we should note that, and information will be on our website. On behalf of our staff, I'd like to wish all who celebrate a happy Eid Mubarak, happy Passover, happy Easter, before we meet again in April, as our next meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 22nd, 7 p.m. at the Fort Hamilton Senior Center. Respectfully submitted. Thank you. It is Sunday, May 4th.
Thank you. And now we will move on to our treasurer's report. Please welcome Stephanie Simone Mahaney.
All right, this is the Treasurer's Report as of February 28th, 2025. Total personal services is $188,387 cents. Total other than personal services, $9,522.04, leaving an unencumbered budget balance of $92,302.09. Thank you.
And now we will move on to our committee reports. And once again, Traffic and Transportation Committee Chair Jack Zhang could not be here tonight. Please welcome back again Stephanie Simone Mahaney.
Could we give Stephanie overtime pay?
Yeah. Double what I'm getting, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right. The Traffic and Transportation Committee met in virtual quorum on Thursday, March 20th, 2025, to review INT 0606-2024 local law proposal regarding e-bikes, open street applications for 2025, and usage of standard stipulations for roadway and sidewalk cafe during the summer hiatus. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is the update on the intro 0606-2024, which is a local law introduced by Council Member Robert Holden that requires every bicycle with electric assist to be licensed and registered in New York City. Each vehicle would be registered with DOT and have an ID number conspicuously displayed on the rear of the vehicle. Will Doherty from Council Member Holden's office was present. The bill is co-sponsored by local council members Justin Brannan, Susan Zhuang, and David Carr, and does not yet have the support of the Speaker, and the council member wants to get as much support from community boards as possible and asks CB10 to offer their opinion. The law would require DOT to distribute licenses instead of the DMV, since the DMV is a state department. The details of the costs will be determined by the DOT. Electric wheelchairs and motorized handicap vehicles would not be required to have license plates. This kind of licensing is common in Europe, such as in Denmark and the Netherlands, and NYC would be the first city in the U.S. to require this. The committee was generally supportive, though questioned certain parts. Street safety is a priority, and so many members thought this was a good step forward. There were suggestions where the bill could also include additional community outreach and education, as well as potentially requiring liability insurance, as there is a gap in required coverage. On the other hand, some members commented that it doesn't itself resolve street safety, as that's an enforcement issue by the NYPD and could be a way for the NYPD to target vulnerable populations. The committee will revisit this topic and will be inviting the 68th Precinct to discuss this at a meeting to be scheduled. Okay. All right. The next is an informational report on PSIS 104, their open street application. The application was for this is open streets, for 86th Street from 4th Avenue, 5th Avenue. I'm sorry. What did I say? I don't even know. Okay, 89th. From 4th Avenue, between 4th Avenue and 5th Avenue, a full street closure for PSIS 104 from April 28th, 2025 through June 26, 2026 for recess on school days between 10 a.m. and 12:25 p.m. The committee reviewed an application for a full street closure, as I just read. Okay. Representatives from the school were present, as well as local business owners. The 68th Precinct Captain John DeSaro was also present. There was some confusion with the school and local businesses on whether this was for the full street or a partial street, and the approval from the DOT was for full street closure. It was discussed that a partial street closure on this specific street would introduce substantial safety concerns from the nearby auto businesses, as well as the hazard from switching the one-way back onto 4th Avenue. The full closure of the street would impact nearby businesses, and the 68th Precinct also noted that this could negatively impact traffic patterns, especially if there were closures to the Verrazano Bridge. Multiple alternatives were suggested, including the use of the rooftop, the garage, or walking the students to the PSIS 104 playground. The committee passed a motion to disapprove of this application with comments on safety and requested DOT to provide more details, such as whether they reviewed this being a C8 commercial zone and what studies they did to reach an approval. After the meeting, the school rescinded the application, and therefore this motion is tabled. Okay. All right. This is... There's a vote for the summer stroll, isn't there? Okay, I'm sorry, he just had, okay. The committee met, this is regarding the summer stroll on 3rd Avenue. The committee met with representatives from the 3rd Avenue Merchants Association to discuss their applications for street closure for 3rd Avenue from 82nd Street to 68th Street on July 25th and August 8th from 4 to 10 p.m., and for 3rd Avenue from 82nd Street to Marine Avenue on July 18th and August 1st from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Representatives described the summer stroll on 3rd Avenue as a free cultural event for the community. Feedback from the previous iterations have been positive, and the DOT has asked for the open streets to take place for 4 weeks for the entire length. However, they have decided to maintain alternate weekends to better concentrate on the event and have no plans to widen. The committee was in support of this event with the standard stipulations it has had in the years past. Okay, so this is the motion. To write to the DOT in support of open street application for the 3rd Avenue Summer Stroll on July 18th, July 25th, August 1st, and August 8th with the following stipulations. 1, all SLA licensed premises who plan to serve alcoholic beverages and are not part of the open restaurant program will require an outdoor alteration permit added to their SLA license and are required to provide a 30-day advance notice to Community Board 10. 2, amplified sound permits will be issued at the discretion of the 3rd Avenue Summer Stroll organizers, and all applicants must adhere to New York City noise code regulations, and NYPD rules relating to sound permits. A list of locations will be provided to CB10 in advance of the event. 3. All amplified sound permits issued by NYPD must end at 10 p.m. 4. The Third Avenue Merchants, as sponsor, will attend an interagency meeting organized by CB10 with the leadership of the NYPD, DSNY, SAPO, and DOT, no less than 1 month prior to the first Summer Stroll event. 5. Organizers will ensure all intersections open to vehicular traffic must be lined with protective barriers and visible signage for pedestrian safety. I'm sorry, does this go straight to the vote key? Okay, I see. There was a second. All right. May I have, since there was only a virtual quorum, I need a second from the floor. Okay, Carmela. Okay. Any discussion, questions? No? Okay. All right, all in favor? No. Okay. Any opposed? Any recusals or we have one? Okay. Abstentions? No. Okay, motion passes. That was easy. There's a final update, and then I'm done. Okay. I'm sorry. The committee discussed approval of sidewalk and roadway cafe applications during months for when the committee is not in session. Given limited time to respond, the committee and board would not get a chance to review until after the deadline passes. The district office proposed using the standard stipulations and approving applications where the applicant had agreed to the standard stipulations. However, given that the district office expects to see a decrease in application volume in the coming months, the committee will revisit this conversation in June to determine if this will be necessary. And that was respectfully submitted by Jack Zhang. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Next, we will hear our Environmental Committee report. Please welcome Tracy Brinton.
Also using my phone. Good evening, everyone. The Environmental Committee met as a hybrid meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, both in person at the district office and via Zoom. Jasana Hughes, the new Brooklyn Borough Commissioner for the NYC Department of Environmental Protection, joined us and presented a Flooding 101 presentation to the committee. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has reclassified New York City as having a humid subtropical climate. The city experiences sudden, powerful storms that bring intense rainfall, which is exacerbated in coastal areas by rising sea levels and tidal cycles. NYC floods in 3 primary forms: stormwater, coastal, and groundwater. The sewer system operates during every rainstorm and successfully handles 98% of rain events. It's that 2% that becomes an issue. It's designed to manage rainfall at a rate of 1.5 to 1.75 inches per hour. However, during particularly heavy rainstorms, the system can become overwhelmed when the stormwater exceeds the capacity of the pipes. Due to climate change, the city faces more frequent and intense downpours, surpassing what the sewer system was originally designed to handle. To address this challenge, the NYC DEP employs a multi-layered approach that includes gray infrastructure, green infrastructure such as rain gardens and porous pavement, and other flood mitigation measures like flood net sensors. In 2022, DEP implemented the United Stormwater Rule to increase the amount of stormwater managed on-site for new and redeveloped properties. Additionally, the agency established the Bureau of Coastal Resilience to coordinate coastal protection efforts in collaboration with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You can take several precautionary measures to protect your home from flooding. Converted basements are particularly vulnerable to sewer backups, stormwater flooding, and groundwater infiltration. Bathroom fixtures should not be installed lower than the sewer connection, which can lead to raw sewage backing up through the drains. Basements situated below sidewalk level or at the bottom of a driveway are at higher risk of flooding. And ensuring proper exit routes are also crucial, as security bars on windows can trap residents in flooded basement apartments. Homeowners can further reduce their flood risk by rerouting downspouts, installing rain barrels, using flood sensors, elevating their belongings, setting up flood barriers, and installing sump pumps. During very heavy rainfall, limiting water usage, such as flushing toilets, showering, or running water-dependent appliances, is advisable, since the excess discharge puts an additional strain on the sewage system. Responsible waste disposal is also essential for preventing sewer backups, which often result from grease or debris clogging the sewers. The DEP spends approximately $18 million annually to remove grease buildup, repair damage from backups, and address issues caused by improperly discarded wet wipes, costs that ultimately are covered by New Yorkers. Once again, there is no such thing as a flushable wet wipe. Just doesn't exist. Given the increasing frequencies of intense storms, homeowners and renters should consider flood insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program, a federal initiative managed by FEMA. While flood insurance is mandatory for certain properties and designated floodplains, all New Yorkers are eligible for coverage regardless of their neighborhood. Standard homeowners insurance policies typically do not cover sewage backup, but an additional rider can be added to protect such damages. And finally, knowing your evacuation zone and signing up for Notify NYC can help you stay informed and prepared for extreme weather events. Respectively submitted.
Oh, we have a question. Tracy?
What's that?
Was there any discussion of the CSO combined sewer overflow system, such as the huge tank that's in Canarsie?
Yeah, it was brought up in questions and answers, and she had mentioned the one
in Canarsie.
I believe there's
Flatlands and Ralph Hammond, I think.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. There was some under construction, correct? Dan, do you remember?
I could speak to that. Yeah, we did mention it as like something that should, like, large overflow containment. I think they didn't really explicitly mention it, but it does require a significant amount of surface area to build one of those, and you can't build anything on top of it because it is kind of like a huge tank in a field, and they're really for, like, you can put them under large parks, things like that, and there really isn't like good space for that in CB10. Yeah. Exactly.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we will move on to our Pedestrian Safety Select Committee. Please welcome Daniel Hedges.
All right, keeping this to a page each time. All right, the Pedestrian Safety Subcommittee met in virtual quorum on March 11th, 2025 for our second public session, which also welcomed our new public members. On the agenda was the finalization of the forms we're going to be distributing to volunteers in early April when we officially kick off our field survey collection. To that end, we decided on two final forms. The first will be a form counting pedestrians, cyclists, and e-vehicles as they pass by mid-block, which will provide us with critical pedestrian traffic flow data, and it takes about 15 minutes to collect. The second will be a form for surveying an intersection, which will focus on counting traffic conflicts. What's a traffic conflict? That's a situation where a pedestrian and a car are on a path toward a possible collision, a situation where, if neither the motorist or the pedestrian change course or alter speed, they would collide. Some examples would be if a pedestrian had to stop to let a car turn in front of them, or if a car had to brake to avoid a crossing pedestrian. By counting and categorizing these moments, we can get a better sense of the safety of an intersection and get ahead of the KSI stats, killed and seriously injured. In short, we'll be able to begin identifying dangerous intersections before people get harmed by focusing on the near misses that rarely get observed or reported. The committee agreed to conduct training sessions for volunteers both in person and at the CB10 office, as well as digitally via pre-recorded YouTube guide. We'll be holding a few working sessions in the coming 2 weeks to finalize that training and to finalize the locations volunteers will survey. Assuming those go well, we can expect to begin our field surveys in early to mid-April, just as it gets warmer. Volunteer slots are still open. If you are on the board or a member of the public, you can sign up at bit.ly/CB10 PEDSAFE, PEDSAFE. As of last night, we already have 18 members of the public who are interested in volunteering and 3 board members, which is more than we hoped. We could always use more. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you so much. And now we will move to the Older Adult Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee report. Please welcome Ruth Greenfield Mazer. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Could you hear me okay? Okay. The only thing is I can't see my notes. So I'll have to work it out. Okay. I think I got it now. So a meeting of the Older Adult Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee was held on February 26, 2025 at 6 o'clock as a hybrid meeting. It was attended by committee members, members of the community, and invited speakers. Representatives from organizations providing services to older adults in Community Board 10 were invited to speak about the available services they provide and how they can be accessed. 3 representatives attended from 3 different agencies and spoke to us about what they offer. And I have to say, they were all very, very impressive. And I really felt like we're just really very, very lucky to have them serving our community. The first was Karen Tadros, who is a founder of Bay Ridge Cares. And she spoke about their services for older adults as well as others in need in Bay Ridge. The organization was founded in 2012, and this past November they delivered 800 Thanksgiving meals to homebound and elderly, which was up from 650 the previous year. This number was primarily the elderly, but also included any person in our catchment area who can't afford a meal, including veterans, disabled, or people living alone. They look to neighbors to be their eyes and ears for the elderly and ask for people in the community to refer people to them who are in need. Meals are free. They also, in addition, their Thanksgiving thing is a really big thing. But in addition to that, they provide people with money for groceries when their SNAP benefits run out or are stolen. And they told us that it's a little shocking, but sometimes when elderly people go to the grocery with their SNAP cards and they use a certain amount of it, and then they go back the next time, it's empty. There have been situations in our neighborhood of certain grocery stores just emptying their SNAP cards. So that's where Bay Ridge Care steps in. They give them money for the rest of the month. Fortunately, it doesn't happen that often. They also organize park cleanups for Earth Day. They provide victims of fires with cash, which we know has happened a few times recently in our neighborhood. They distribute 400 backpacks to kids in need. They run a pajama drive and a holiday wishes program. Bay Ridge Cares has 800 volunteers who participate in their various programs. they're always looking for more volunteers. And of course, volunteers do different things. They pick what appeals to them. And if anyone is interested, they could go on the Bay Ridge Cares website, and there is a volunteer tab. Their email is bayridgecares@gmail.com, and their phone is 917-382-4608. So I have to say that was very impressive. I mean, it's all volunteer, and it's mostly privately funded, though they do get some city money. So the next representative we had was Shura McCletchy, social work supervisor at Catholic Charities Offices for Senior Citizens of Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge. They are funded by the New York City Department of Aging, and clients must be 60 and over. They employ 15 social workers and case managers between their Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge offices, and each carry caseloads of 72, that's a lot of people, 72 elderly people who are isolated and impoverished. Social workers and case managers make home visits to get a sense of how clients are living, and usually find that they need help to obtain benefits such as SNAP, SCREE, food stamps, housing, referrals for medical and mental health services, elder care attorneys, or adult protective services. They're able to provide 20 hours a week of home care, some housekeeping, home visits, telephone insurance, and meals. Meal deliveries include halal, Russian, Chinese, among other ethnicities. When a call comes in, Catholic Charities staff go out immediately and sometimes encounter emergency situations where an older person is on the floor due to a fall or an illness. Their services are vital and save lives. They never turn anyone away and have staff who speak many languages. Catholic Charities' main office is on Geralman Street in downtown Brooklyn, and they have over 200 programs for all ages. This year they are celebrating 125 years, and the office in Bay Ridge is located at 6823 Fifth Avenue, and their phone is 718-680-3530. Also a very, very impressive group. And it also highlights the amount of poverty and isolation that we have in our community among older adults. Next, we had a presentation from Senya Frangipani, who is the Director of Social Services at NIA Community Services Network. They were originally founded in 1981 by their then president, Michael Bova, as the Neighborhood Improvements Association of St. Rosalina. At that time, they had one after-school program and one summer camp. Currently, they have over 45 after-school programs, summer camps, and beacon programs throughout Brooklyn. They do not have a limited geographic catchment area and provide services to people in all neighborhoods throughout the city, which is mind-boggling. I don't know how they do so much. They assist older adults to obtain government benefits, again, the ones I mentioned before, WIC, SNAP, Meals on Wheels, etc., etc. And Ms. Frangipani also runs counseling programs at the Dyker Heights office, such as support groups for new mothers, and provides naloxone training. And she welcomes volunteers at NIA also, and she can be reached at 718-236-5266 or 917-580-0028. Of course, all these phone numbers can be found on the web. They all have websites. After her presentation, the committee chair, me, thanked all our presenters for their dedication and hard work serving the needs of older adults and others in our community. New business. Our district manager, Josephine Meckman, explained that older adults make up 15% of the population in CB10. They are aging in place, and as such, our neighborhood is a NORC, which is a naturally occurring retirement community. Ms. Beckman also shared that CB10 will be updating and distributing our older adults resource guide and coupon book. The previous one was very well received. The new version will contain local resources such as contact information for local officials, Omni, Accessoride, food banks, counseling and social service organizations, and older adult centers, among other resources. Respectfully submitted. Ruth Greenfield Mesa. Thank you.
Oh, we have a question, Ruth. Ruth, we have a question. Hang on.
Not a question.
Second. One moment.
Sorry, not a question as much as a comment, Ruth. You're absolutely right. There are folks that use SNAP cards that are getting cleaned out, and a lot of this is because the SNAP cards are still using kind of older swipe technology rather than the chip. So, but if you're in bodegas or supermarkets, things to look out for are oversized plastic units that would kind of go on top. This is used to steal information. You can also, if it's spongy or if it's soft and you would expect to see like light coming through numbers, but there's not, that could mean that the machine is, setting you up to steal your benefits. Things like that. If it pulls off, you can just kind of tug it. If it pulls off easily, it's probably taking your information. And there is a way that you can freeze your account online. So you can use it, go online, freeze your account until you need to use it again, and then you can unlock it. So you're right. It's pretty nasty stuff, but fortunately, there's things to look out for and steps you can take to mitigate that. Thank you.
Well, I guess we need some education for people who have these cards.
There's some
Oh.
some flyers back there if you're if you're interested.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing. And now, do we have any old business? Seeing none, do we have any new business? Okay. Okay.
I'm happy to go first.
No problem.
Yeah, I've been asked to introduce a motion. Just got it. But apparently a group of board members have put together a statement that they'd like submitted and adopted by the board and sent out to our federal representatives, so Malliotakis, Schumer, and Gillibrand. So I can read it right now. This is in relation to the fact that we are one of the only boards that has both a VA and a Army base within our jurisdiction, and that it might be on us to make a statement about what's happening in the wider world outside of this particular room. And the statement reads as thus: "We are writing to express our ongoing concern for recent aggressive and haphazard cuts to our federal workforce. The bond between Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights, and the federal government is especially close. Every day, hundreds of people go to work at the Brooklyn Veterans Affairs Medical Center. These dedicated public servants have been caring for our city's veterans since 1950. We believe that their work is invaluable to our veterans, and Brooklyn VA's commitment to service reflects our own deep gratitude for their service. We are also deeply grateful for the soldiers and civilians keeping our country safe today. Several hundred are stationed at Fort Hamilton, the only military installation in the city and an institution that has been part of our community since the American Revolution. Each and every day, these men and women are working hard for all of us. Recently, the President expressed his desire to cut 80,000 workers from the Department of Veterans Affairs. He also directed the Secretary of Defense to make deep personnel cuts. Undoubtedly, such cuts will affect our own Brooklyn VA and Fort Hamilton. This board respects our federal workforce and believes in due process. Every federal employee makes a valuable contribution and deserves to be evaluated on his or her own merits, not summarily dismissed in the name of efficiency. We urge you to demand that this administration proceeds carefully and transparently. The soldiers, doctors, nurses, and others serving our nation at the medical center and Fort Hamilton deserve no less. I would need a second. Do we have any discussion or comment? I could, yeah, please.
I believe in voting for something that was just thrown on us without the discussion through any committee is unreasonable, and I think that this should go through some committee before it's brought to the board. I personally think that a motion of this type is above our pay grade. We are responsible for Community Board 10, and although we are knowledgeable of what the government does, I don't think we have any say as a community board. So I think before a motion like this comes to the board, it should be discussed through the representative committee first before it's brought to the board for a vote.
Anyone else, please?
I would actually say something to the opposite of that. Even though it's not within our jurisdiction to cover something like this, we have every right to encourage our elected officials to pay attention to something and to at least give a reasonable consideration to what they're doing. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't think it's over the top at all. I think it's just asking for some common sense and some reasonable consideration.
Just as an historical note, when the home port in Staten Island was announced it was going to be closed, then Congresswoman Susan Molinari had a whole bus that we went out to New Jersey and also into Manhattan, and everybody testified how we want to keep the home port in Staten Island. So that's an example of precedent of having a federal facility that was going to be closed, and here we are. We want to make sure that both of them stay open.
On Friday and Saturday, there were two protests in front of Nicole Magnoteki's office. This was regarding her vote to cut Medicaid. As we just heard, the Older Adults Committee highlight the issues that older adults are facing in our district. We are in Newark, so it's not really off topic for us to have these discussions and urge our representatives, especially Magnotekis, she's kind of been MIA. Maybe she can give us an update on what's going on with all that, since it particularly affects our district.
And I would like to say that this would be sent to all of our federal representatives, anyone who has a say in this or can just pay attention to it. Gillibrand, Schumer, Maliotakis, federal officials. Yeah.
If you want to send this statement to the government officials, I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem is asking this community board to vote for this. I don't think it's not in our pay grade to do this.
I can appreciate the motion, but I feel like it's an 11th hour motion and it requires discussion. It does. And that's the only comment I would have to say. Need more time.
Yeah, I was asked to read it. Apparently, a group of board members had drafted it that are probably in the room. I wasn't involved in drafting it. I was asked to read it. But I'm happy. If someone wants to introduce a second motion to table, they can. Otherwise, I would call the question. But if anyone wants to make a motion to table, yeah, I want to make sure that we're going through. If there is a motion to table, that would supersede, correct? and then second to table. We had a second on the initial reading and adoption and sending to officials. We then had a superseding motion to table this, and we had a second for that. So that is currently on the floor. Well, we have one motion that supersedes, which will be to table this and not vote. So we have to take that first. So I would call the question. Do we have a question before that? Yeah, please. Yes.
There's no process then.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no process then. It's just saying that we're going to table it, and it just goes out into the ether. All right. What you have to have is that you want to have it tabled and then assigned to a committee.
Would we have a friendly amendment? You can, if please.
I'll add that to the amendment. Does there have to be a date on it?
Or a committee.
Okay. And then that it should be tabled and go to the Health Committee? Older Adults Committee, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
All right. And that being on the table, that being on the floor, I will call the question. All in favor of delaying this vote and moving it to the appropriate committee?
Which is the appropriate?
It is older adults. Housing, health.
Health and welfare.
Health and welfare.
Okay.
All right. All in favor of moving this over? All right. And all opposed? 1, 2, 3. 3. All right. So that passes. We have tabled this, moved it forward. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Was there any other new business?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing none, then do we have a motion to adjourn? From the lady who's retiring. Thank you. All in favor. Thank you. And thank you and good luck again, Diane. Thank you so much.